Okay, Steve Borthwick's first campaign, and he won 2 games, and England finished 4th. I mean, it wasn't a huge improvement from the Eddie Jones era, but then again, he was given a bit of a tricky task, sort of coming in late and trying to completely revamp a squad who looked as though they'd lost a bit of direction. So, I don't know, Charlie, if you were giving this team a quick grade, if you had to sort of assess their tournament as a whole, what would you give them?
C?
I was thinking C plus.
I was thinking C plus as well. Sorry.
I just think the manner of that loss to France skews everything, because it was so startlingly bad and so and just weird in retrospect, because what you expect from a Steve Borthwick team is incremental gains, and it was just a huge step backwards. And then actually, if you'd have thought the trajectory of how they went from Ireland to Wales, when, as I keep saying with the 2 wickets analogy, I think their performance was better than the score suggested in Cardiff. And if their trajectory in that game seems to suggest that they would run France close and then produce something like they did against Ireland when they troubled the best team in the world. So that just weird trough in the middle is when they had 2 weeks building up to it. It was really strange. Now, the one thing I can think of, the more obvious thing, without knowing kind of anything that's going on behind the scenes, is that sometimes we hear retrospectively that coaches have really flogged players in the conditioning side of things. I think England did that in 2018 when they had a really poor Six Nations. Eddie Jones just felt as though they needed the block of fitness, and that potentially it would be a case of the players having to defy that fatigue in games, and and where the results went, so be it. That can be the only thing I can really think of for sort of an excuse over if we take the Smith selection stuff as a kind of separate. But I think to recover from that and to lay some foundations, as I say, they do have to build on those foundations very quickly ahead of the World Cup. But I think they will with the coaches that are coming in, and the fact that it's going to be Steve Borthwick's kind of. It will feel really like Steve Borthwick's team, with the additions of Wigglesworth and especially Alan Walters. I feel like maybe the tiniest step forward, but sort of with a kind of more hopeful outlook.
The first half in Dublin and how well they played actually made me more frustrated with the France performance.
More puzzled.
The total lack of application at Twickenham a week before versus the determination and grit that they showed. I was actually quite annoyed, because it just you shouldn't be that. They shouldn't have been as bad as they were. Like it just wasn't acceptable, was it? Charles, give me some positives. Charles, give me reasons to feel good about England. Maybe Manu Tuilagi's return. I meant to talk about this in the earlier section, but he was quite handy.
Yeah, he was handy. He was solid. He was solid. He's not the same beast of old, is he?
No.
He's really not. There was a moment in that first half, we were chatting about it beforehand, where he ran one-on-one into Caelan Doris, and he lost that collision. Now, I mean, the Manu Tuilagi of old could have run head-on-head into anybody and not lost the collision.
Hopefully not head-on-head in the current climate.
No, otherwise Jaco Piper had been straight on the phone to Marius Jonker.
Yeah, exactly.
And
he would have agreed with the facts. So
death knell.
Yeah,
I agree with the facts. Terror.
Yeah, I agree with the facts. That is, I mean, what does that even mean? Surely, if it's facts, it doesn't need agreeing with, does it? If it's facts, it's facts, isn't it, Marius? It's not objective.
On a tangent right now.
Yeah.
Come back to Manu.
Talk
to me about Manu.
Yeah, Manu. And positives. Scrum was a positive, I think, especially on the improvements, especially as it was ranked. Steve Borthwick told us ranked as the worst scrum in Tier 1 nations. I don't think it is now. And also, when replacements come on, McAvin, Napola and Dan Cole, you don't lose anything there. And also, I think that first half in Dublin, as you've touched on, Colsey, is a massive positive, because I think they have proved that they can do it, and that what Kevin Sinfield defensively is trying to implement is doable, is achievable, and works, because they had Ireland rattled, they had them on the back foot. It was a cute inside pass. That was the only time that their try line was breached and that they were properly unlocked in that first half. Other positives: Freddie Stewart's performance at 15. Not obviously not including Saturday, where he only managed 40 minutes. But he made that shirt his own. Ollie Chesham, and what a sort of heartbreaking news last week that he's now touch and go for the World Cup with an ankle injury. The back row, other than the French game, had very good moments. I was surprised to see that Jack Willis actually, despite all of these sort of wild tackling statistics in the individual matches, he's not in like the sort of even the top 10 tackles made in the tournament as a whole. Which means he must have had a very quiet game against France in terms of tackles made. Probably even quieter than I expected.
I'd have to look it up, but yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's right.
Missed the game, didn't he?
He did miss a game, but so did so the top tackler of the entire tournament is Matt Fagerson, and he was on the bench on Saturday.
Yeah.
Willis with 20 tackles in the first half and two in the second half, obviously because of his yellow card.
Yeah.
Because he was off the field for a bit.
Which
so.
again, actually, many people, which we haven't touched on yet, many people think that was more of a red than Stewart's, and actually a lot of Irish fans have said that as well, haven't they?
Charlie, you helpfully have written on the website 3 signs England are heading in the right direction. So can you tell me what the 3 signs are that England are heading in the right direction?
They're the ones that yeah, just rack my brains. They're the ones that a few of the ones that Charles has mentioned there. The set piece, a little bit of the directness of their attack. They have, I just think, to have that, whether it was Ollie Lawrence or Manu Tuilagi, they have that threat there. Just to touch on Manu Tuilagi's performance, I actually thought defensively he was pretty strong.
Yeah.
A couple of those. Tug Furlong
Yeah.
wasn't a factor because a lot of the time, at least twice, maybe three times, Tuilagi was sort of pressurising him and making and kind of causing those really devastating passes that Furlong can throw to kind of be misdirected.
I think Henshaw went by him in the first half, didn't he?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, Henshaw's
Gun.
awesome.
Yeah.
But Arundel got back. So this was the thing. A real tangent here. But Arundel's performance, I know he did a bit of an Ollie Hassel-Collins, didn't he? That really reminded me of that same moment where there was and again, I think I went. I was in my press seat going,
Just
go
kick
on.
it. Yeah, but in your head, your heart, you're going, go on. In your head, you're going, nobody in the coaching staff wants you to run this back.
Yeah, so just bear that in mind. But Keenan Lasudin and Porter was over to win. He had that moment, and then Mac Hansen and I think Henshaw, got across, and there's 2 turnovers with 2 runs. But the nuts and bolts of it, he won a jackal turnover, didn't he? He's quick enough to pressurise in those kicking exchanges. And actually, one point that I remember people making about Lewis Roux-Sammet when he came on the scene was that at this stage of his career, he might make wrong defensive reads, but he's actually so quick over the ground that he can almost recover.
Yeah,
and that's really cool because what is happening is that you're not costing your team that much necessarily because you're recovering to make any given tackle, but also that you're learning and going, geez, yeah, okay, that's the right decision to make next time. What did you ask me, Colsey? Oh, the areas to get better. So in 2 games against Wales and Ireland, they've kicked on their own terms, done it a lot better. Against France, they didn't kick on their own terms because they were a bit frantic and because France went hard at the breakdown. So they now have, that is how the kicking is unavoidable. It's such an important part. Ireland kicked loads when they, in their best performance against France. So England are going to have to do it. And they're going to have to do it in the manner that they did against Ireland and against Wales. And then the other area was so set piece attack, kicking on their own terms, and just the multi-faceted nature of that defensive performance. So good decisions in phase play generally, really good scramble when they had to, and just being aware most of the time to those set piece plans that Ireland had and were always going to have. They're always going to have a strike or 2 up their sleeves.
I'm not even going to check the article because I'm sure that you're 3 out of 3.
Please subscribe. Please subscribe, and it's more than that. We get below the pay fade. So.
The reason I didn't respond was because I was looking at the World Cup bracket and I was trying to work out how soon Ireland could potentially play France, and you could get them in, because that was my next question, because I'm going to ask you to pick a favourite for the World Cup. So you've got 30 seconds to think about it while I explain that. So Ireland and France could meet because you get the winner of Pool B against the runner-up of Pool A in the quarterfinals and vice versa. So unless they both win their groups, you're potentially not getting Ireland-France until the final. So Charles, Ireland or France for the World Cup? Who's your favourite?
Well, on the basis that Ireland aren't getting out the pool, I'll go France.
Are they actually not?
That's a joke for our listeners across the Irish Sea, if we have any.
Not anymore.
It's not anymore. Yeah. No, I will go I will go France because I think they've built. They've developed, they've got better. I think they have better individuals than Ireland, and I know it's not about the individual, but sometimes in those knockout matches, just that little extra individual brilliance can be what swings it. France with a home World Cup, they've only lost at home once under Galtier, I think, and that was to Scotland in that 2021.
Don't say Scotland with that tone of voice. I mean, come on.
Sorry, you've done me there. I didn't mean to. That was subconscious. Okay. It was actually, they lost to a very good Scottish performance, is what we should say. And that is genuinely what I believe. But I think France is favourites. I think France is favourites just.
Hi, Charlie.
South Africa.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I think I was
wasn't
watching.
The question.
I was watching. I think France over Ireland. I think South Africa over them both. I was just watching the game on Saturday, thinking that South Africa will be looking. I know Ireland had a few guys out, but I just thought that they will really be licking their lips at the maul gains they can make, and how much that their hyper aggressive line speed can maybe scramble that Irish phase play. In the game in November in Dublin was brutal, wasn't it? And actually, if Ireland had pushed a couple more passes and managed to beat that blitz a couple of times, then they could have been more comfortable than they were, which was reasonably comfortable until the last 5 minutes in that game. But I just think that at a neutral venue, that pool game is going to go towards South Africa. And how funny would it be if someone won from the other side of the draw?
Well, I was just going to say
those guys punching each other out, but I think whoever gets through that quarterfinal from the tough side of the draw, will have a lot of confidence. And then, I mean, unless there are improvements on the other side on the poor side of the draw, on the other side of the draw, then it's going to be we're looking at a France-Ireland final.